Hi, I'm Ella, and this is our presentation on the 1937 Ohio River flood. It's done by me and Eva Dominguez-Moss. So, going into what the Ohio River flood was, it was one of the worst natural disasters in American history. It affected 8 states across the nation, particularly in Cincinnati, and 385 lives were lost. This flood occurred in January 1937 and it rained for 12 straight days along the Ohio River. The Ohio River falls through Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana, and Illinois. Looking at some of our weather patterns, we have a quote from the United States Coast Guard stating that there was abnormal barometric pressures and warm, moist southern tropical air masses colliding with cooler northern polar air masses. There was also several sets of storms setting in late December, but the high amounts of rainfall occurred in January. But because there was already heavy rains in December, the ground was already full of water, not allowing for it to take in as much water as it might have before, which caused flooding. How large of the geographic region was impacted? According to the Louisville MSD, the flood covered about 60% of the city of Louisville and 65 square miles of Jefferson County outside the Old City. The flood ruined about 65 miles of land. During the floods, erosions occurred because of the amounts of water falling into the soil. The soil was eventually destroyed, which caused the lands to change and make the area no longer able to farm.
Hi, my name is Ava Dominguez-Moss, and this is the societal and economic impacts of this natural disaster. The 1937 Ohio River flood had devastating societal impacts, causing widespread displacement, homelessness, loss of life, and economic hardship. An estimated 1 million people left homeless across affected areas and leaving a lasting impact on communities along a river due to sheer scale of destruction and disruption to daily life. The flood significantly impacted the economies of affected cities, causing major losses in industry and commerce due to business closures and damaged infrastructure. How the Ohio flood interrupted normal day-to-day life and businesses. The 1937 Ohio River flood severely disrupted daily life in many communities along the river. Transportation for train travel stopped at the Union Station, streetcar routes were suspended, bus service was limited, and the water covered 15,000 miles of highway. It significantly impacted businesses by causing widespread damage to infrastructure, forcing closures due to induction, disrupting supply chains, and leading to substantial financial losses. The flooding damaged businesses severely, and businesses were unable to operate and come back to their normal business life before the flood. This flood really damaged the community as a whole. The water quality after this flood and the threats were awful. The Ohio flood caused contaminated drinking water, sewage and waste overflow, and industrial population. The sewage overflow led to a significant health threat, as the contaminated water could spread diseases like cholera, thyroid fever, and dysentery. What did everyone do because of this flood? So, levees and floodways were one of the primary responses to the 1937 flood. Was the construction of levees, flood walls, and embankments along the Ohio River and its tributaries. These structures were designed to protect urban areas from floodwaters by preventing rivers from overflowing their banks. Reservoirs and dams were also a part of flood control efforts. Also, in response to flooding, there was improved flooding forecasting and warning systems, like flood insurance, flood proofing, and other elements. Overall, this flooding caused so many areas to be abandoned. Areas have been abandoned due to the flooding because the damage was so severe. Entire communities in the flood-prone areas were displaced and relocated to a higher ground. Now all buildings that are built are on a higher ground. Many public parks and green spaces were not rebuilt for residential or commercial purposes. Instead, they were transformed into parks or green spaces to help manage future floodwaters and prevent further development in vulnerable zones. Many businesses have also not recovered from the flood, especially the ones close proximity to the river. This is our sources page, and we hope that you enjoyed our project. Thank you.